To begin with, I just want to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Pambalong clan of the Awabakal people, the traditional custodians of the land on which the campus of the University of Newcastle is situated. I'd like to pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. So today we're going to talk about referencing at UON. We're going to cover briefly what referencing is, why we reference, how we reference, and we'll look at some examples of referencing. We'll also look at some citation management tools like Endnote and where to access help at the library. So what is referencing? Referencing or citing is a formal way of acknowledging the sources you have used in your research assignments. Using others' work, ideas, data without appropriate citation is considered plagiarism and academic misconduct. At the University of Newcastle, we have a few referencing styles, and they are listed here. We have AGLC, which is the Australian Guide for Legal Citation, mostly used in law. APA 7th, which we are all familiar with. Chicago A and B, Harvard, IEEE, or the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. JAMA, which is the Journal of American Medical Association. Or MLA, which is the Modern Language Association, and Vancouver. So we'll be able to find out more information about these referencing styles on the library website. And as an example, I'll take you through the APA 7th guide a little bit later on. So why do we reference? Referencing is so important at university. We reference to demonstrate your research and support your arguments. We credit authors for their contribution and research impact, provide further resources for your readers or your lecturers, and practice with academic integrity to avoid plagiarism. The University of Newcastle has an academic integrity policy, which you can see the link down the bottom here. And academic integrity is taken very seriously at the University of Newcastle. And referencing is a huge component of that. So how do we reference? So referencing essentially is set out by discipline and by your course coordinators. We learn how to reference through the resources available at the library. And while citation management tools can assist in managing with large amounts of referencing, it's not a foolproof solution, and you do need to have a basic understanding of whatever referencing style you use. Well, I went too far. So now we're going to have a look at the APA referencing guide. So from newcastle.edu.au/library, which is the library's homepage, if you scroll down a little bit, under the Learn tab here, you have a referencing link. Here we have all those referencing styles that I listed before. And for today's purpose, we're going to have a look at APA 7th style. So all of the referencing libguides look pretty much the same. But APA 7th, as I was discussing with Kylie earlier, is actually probably the best and most comprehensive. So within this guide, we have a quick guide, which is great for I guess, the most asked questions. But the full guide itself here goes into a lot more detail. So, for example, let's go to books and thesis. Across the top, it'll break it down even further. So if you have two authors that you need to reference in a book or a thesis, it actually sets it out for you. So in this color-coded area here, you have the author's surname, comma, first initial. In APA 7th particularly, punctuation is important. So you need to include those full stops and commas. The year in parentheses, the book title in italics or subtitle, edition if there is one, a publisher, and a DOI. And down below, you actually have an example of how that would look. And further to that, there is information about how you in-text reference. So with APA, you need an in-text reference and a corresponding reference list entry. So I'm just going to stop sharing and then I'll share again to get back to the presentation. All right. So we can all see my referencing examples.
Yep, all good.
Cool. So what I've done is I've referenced one of the books in the catalogue. It's a print book and I've done it in the APA 7th style and the Harvard style. So these two styles are in-text referencing styles. They're different to a footnote style, but there are similarities and there are differences between them. So as you can see, the difference is in the actual reference list. So APA is a little bit more formatted in that it has more punctuation, it has that italicized title, and it has this hanging indent here. Harvard does not have that. It's a bit more straightforward. There's no italics, there's no indent.
It's interesting that it's all the same information as well.
Yeah.
Just displayed differently.
Absolutely. And you can see that APA 7th, for example, doesn't have the place of publication, whereas Harvard does. So these are the little things that you need to look at when you're going through and learning about your referencing style. And it's important to get those details right because they are easy marks. All right, citing information. So there are a few, I wouldn't call them shortcuts or tricks, but there are a few ways to get your information, your citing information for your reference lists. In the image here, there's a picture of the catalogue, and I'm going to show you how to get that information from library search. And below that, we have an image from different databases that have a similar function. They're just called different things. For example, in Sage, it's cite with this icon. In JSTOR, it's cite this item, and so on and so on. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to go back to the catalog. And I'm going to search frogs in Australia. Now, I was paranoid that I wouldn't be able to find the exact resource that I wanted. So I actually saved it up here because I wanted the example, but it can work for any of these. You see these parentheses here. Actually, I'll show you that first. Clicking on that, you can drop down to your referencing style. So we'll stick with APA as an example. And it should format it for you. Now, because this is automated, you do need to check it. So for example, this is unnecessary, like it doesn't need to be there. And you can tell that if you reference the referencing guides. But everything else looks pretty good, except for the hanging indent. Good pickup. So I'm going to take you through to a journal article to show how it works there as well. So this was a Wiley. This is a Wiley online article. Most journal articles look pretty much the same, and they will all have this cite function. On this one, it's under the Tools tab here. And it's export citation. So here you can see that it's their automated citation here. It's not in APA 7th, and you can tell that based on your fundamental knowledge of APA 7th. And it's also generated an easy proxy URL. This is never a great idea because it's a temporary link. So if you put your easy proxy URL into your assignment, your lecturer won't be able to find the source of the article because it's a temporary link. You'd need to use the actual URL for the article, or in APA, it's always preferred to use your DOI. From here, you can also export to Endnote, which we are about to talk about, I think. Bear with me. Endnote, the dreaded Endnote. I shouldn't say that. Endnote is actually a great tool. So Endnote is a citation management tool that can be used to keep track of referencing, but again, they're not foolproof solutions. You still need to have an understanding of your referencing style and make sure your references are formatted correctly and contain the correct information. If you're interested in finding out more about citation management tools, we have the library guides on Endnote, Endnote Online, Mendeley, and Zotero. And it's important to figure out which product is right for you. So for the moment, I'm going to show the Endnote guide because I just feel like Endnote is more widely used at the University of Newcastle.
And Endnote is certainly the only bibliographic management tool that we really technically support in the library.
That's right.
So we do training and things on things like Endnote, whereas the other ones we will help with, but it's not necessarily part of our wheelhouse.
So back on that referencing, thanks Kylie. Back on that referencing page, underneath the referencing guides, you have the citation management tool guides. So if we go to Endnote, there's a lot of information here, like a lot. And it's useful for both staff and students. So again, it's formatted the way a library guide is. So you have like areas here, and if you go into them, you'll get more information. A great go-to is the introduction to Endnote X9. I won't open the actual file, but it's a PDF and it has a lot of images and step-by-step instructions on how to set up your EndNote, how to import your references, how to manually insert references as well. Down under the Learn More tab, you have a lot of videos. So, I mean, these can be dry, but they will tell you everything that you need to know about EndNote in a more visual way if you're a visual learner. And this is also where you would come to download EndNote as well. It's important to download from the library guide itself, whether you're downloading Mac or a PC version. All right. So the final slide is help. You can always get help at the library. Anywhere you see this grey Ask the Library bar, it'll take you through to the help page. Here you can chat in real time during business hours. You can email, text. We also have a digital technology self-help guide. And this is also where you can book a librarian. And I think that's about it. Are there any questions?
Just one from me. I just noticed that Kylie said, before, sorry, not Kylie, it may have been Sally, about EndNote would be more for second year students or postgrads. Is that true?
EndNote is for anyone who chooses to use it, really.
Oh, right. Because it was different a few years ago, I think, Ben.
It was.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't stop anyone from using it. It's probably of more use to people who are doing masters and PhD, but
Yeah.
I know it's increasing. I know based on the last couple of months, I've seen a few students who have been encouraged to use it in undergrad.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's for anyone.
No,
Yeah,
that's good.
That was me that said that. And the reason that we tend to encourage people to do it at second year onwards is purely because it gives them enough time to sort of establish their knowledge of their referencing style. But if you have someone, if someone is confident at using their referencing style, there is no reason they couldn't use it right.
That makes sense. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys, for that, clearing that up.
I would also say, I know that there is a bit of anxiety around EndNote, and in the future webinars, this is a plug, there will be webinars specifically on, I think there's an introduction to EndNote and a advanced EndNote webinar as well.
There
so
is. The introduction will be geared towards actually setting up your library and sort of getting to know EndNote. And then the advanced would be more for the sort of postgraduate people who might be managing lots of citations for the sake of a thesis or something like that. I'll put a link now in to the webinar schedule though, so that you can have a look, because I believe they're already scheduled. Is that right, Ben?
Yeah, that's right. So all of the webinars for semester 1 are now in the calendar. So you can register for them. There's a variety of topics. So it's not just the work that we're doing in the librarian team. I know Paige will join us to talk about Wikipedia editathons. I know, I think next week, Michael is talking about ebooks and books in the library. There is a variety, something for everyone. Spread the word and register for those webinars. They're just better if there's more people here and we can answer questions.
Yeah.
And Linda has asked whether or not they are recorded, Ben.
Yes, they are. So we're recording all the webinars as they were recorded last year, and we'll pop them up on the website as well as a resource for people to refer back to. And also you'll be able to share them with students as well. So if you have somebody come into the library and go, I don't know about referencing, you could probably send them this video if it was useful.
That's great. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Nope.
All right. Well, we might leave it there. Everyone stay safe and warm.
Thanks,
More
Ben.
safe.
Thanks, Ben.
No worries. See
Thank
you
you very
guys.
much, Dan.
Bye.
Bye.